Welcome, Slayers, to the first episode of DARKTIMES Debriefed, your behind-the-scenes look at how the ultimate Brawler Royale is being built. These updates are based directly on the internal development logs. They're raw, unfiltered, and designed to give you a clearer view into what's happening during each sprint. DARKTIMES has been in development since 2022 in partnership with Blowfish Studios, a team with deep experience shipping high-quality games. Many of the development team work in 2-week sprints. This update covers the sprint ending on Friday the 2nd of May, corresponding to build versions 15.4 and build version 16.0. Let's start with 3D artists. This sprint, they focused on fixing two-handed weapon pivots, tightening movement transitions, polishing characters in the mode selector, improving weapon sheath behavior, and correcting hand placement issues. First up, fixing pivots on two-handed weapons. In Unity, interactable weapons were all slightly offset. The team reset their positions and manually adjusted the weapon prefabs so they now align with 10 different hand positions. The Maya source files were also updated to match. Unity character prefabs were then updated to fix animation curves, and a broader setup overhaul was started, beginning with idle stance alignment. On movement, the animation state machine in Unity was flickering between forward and backward transitions, which caused janky blends. The team is now experimenting with tighter, less keyframe transitions between those behaviors. On weapon sheaths, weapons are now parented correctly to specific holder nodes, whether spear, shield, left or right hand. All the relevant Blender models had incorrect origins, which have now been fixed. Rotations are now driven directly through node transforms. Hand placement had also been inconsistent. To address this, character models are being re-imported, and Mammoth was fully re-skinned in Blender to align cleanly with the rig. In the mode selector, the Huntress received a few polish passes, her hand wraps were corrected, and her standing pose was realigned in Unity. The major wins this sprint. Cosmetics now display with the correct textures applied, and movement and idle root motion issues have been resolved. Major blockers: a change to the shared character prefab introduced a universal idle animation, which broke character switching transitions. Separately, Blender's slicing workflow caused visible seams in limb meshes, so the team is now rebuilding model components to fix it. The platform engineering team worked across 3 main areas: queue optimization, server-side reward calculation, and tournament stability. First, optimizing queue. The goal was to reduce overall server usage. The team improved exception handling and retry logic in the queue SDK's HTTP request flow. Second, reward calculation. Leveling progression has now been reinstated. Experience points are sent to and retrieved from back-end services instead of being client-side. Third, tournament stability. Instability during tournaments is now believed to be linked to server load, not timing issues. The team is currently reviewing logs to identify threshold breaches. Major wins here. Usage of Amazon Web Services is down by 30%, and latency has been ruled out as a cause of tournament failures. One blocker remains: the exact root cause of tournament instability hasn't been pinpointed. Load testing on concurrent matches is ongoing. The senior developer worked on combat logic and animation syncing, with a focus on root motion, damage feedback, and cleaning up legacy bugs. First, root motion for attacks and combos. Previously, player movement was controlled by server-only variables, which caused sliding and delays. The root motion delta has now been rewritten, and RPC timing adjusted. Second, the overall root motion system has been overhauled. Instead of the client telling the server how much motion to apply, both are now synced, preventing mismatches and slipping. There were 2 key combat bugs. The first hit in a combo sometimes dealt 0 damage, fixed. The third hit in a combo always triggered a finisher, regardless of who landed the earlier hits, also fixed. The combo damage control script has been fully reworked. Missing references in the player controller were also restored, resolving build failures. Major wins: combat is now synced correctly, root motion issues are resolved, and rubber banding has been eliminated. One blocker: repairing the broken build pipeline delayed other work, but root motion and damage logic are now stable. The lead developer focused on throwing, both animations and physics. Transitions between throw and impact are still jagged. Blend timings in Unity are being investigated. Thrown ragdolls were misbehaving due to a kinematic setup. The team is now shifting to dynamic reactions with real-time physics. Thrown players were also sometimes falling through the map or getting stuck mid-air. This has been fixed. They now freeze properly post-impact. The major win here. The team identified that physics forces were being applied globally to all limbs. That's now being masked to only the relevant areas. Major blocker. The legacy ragdoll setup applies physics to the entire body, which clashes with new animation blending, causing limbs to invert or glitch. That system is now under review. And finally, the QA tester spent this sprint hammering on the builds and reporting bugs. It's a critical role that helps keep the team on track. Major wins. All characters now load with their correct base armor sets, and a full 6-player match completed without any rubber banding or disconnections. No critical blockers were found, but polish is still needed, especially on character idle animations. Also, the absence of executions and an incomplete throwing system continue to block full gameplay loop testing. Overall, this sprint brought solid progress, especially on root motion syncing, combat logic, XP systems, tournament load handling, and cosmetic polish. Coming up next, continued work on combo tracking, throwing physics, recovery animations, and UI improvements, especially the kill feed and end-of-round overlays. Thanks for watching this first Dark Times Debriefed. To join the conversation, head to discord.gg/darktimes. We'll see you next time, Slayers.